Okay, I think we can get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining this webinar to talk a little bit about the faculty position at Yale University in the Microbial Sciences Institute and in partnership with the Department of Molecular, Cellular, and Developmental Biology. My name is Andy Goodman. I am the director of the Microbial Sciences Institute and a professor in the Department of Microbial Pathogenesis at the Yale School of Medicine. And maybe we'll start by just doing a brief introduction of our panelists. Scott, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Scott Hawley. I'm a professor in molecular, cellular, and developmental biology and the current chair of the department.
Great. Stavrula?
Hi, everyone. I'm Stavrula Hazios. I'm an assistant professor in molecular, cellular, and developmental biology and the Microbial Sciences Institute.
And Mike?
And I'm Mike O'Donnell. I'm an assistant professor in molecular, cellular, and developmental biology. And my laboratory is located in YSB on Science Hill.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to briefly explain a little bit about this faculty position and then introduce the Microbial Sciences Institute. Then Scott is going to take a few minutes to talk about the Department of Molecular, Cellular, and Developmental Biology, but I want most of our time to be reserved for answering your questions. And so you can post questions using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and those will go just to the panelists, and then I'll read them back, and I'll ask for the panelists to help with answering. So that is all done anonymously. So I'll just read back the question without your name. And again, most of our time is set aside for answering any questions that you have, again, using that Q&A feature. But first, a brief description of the faculty position. So this is an assistant professor tenure track position in the Department of Molecular, Cellular, and Developmental Biology. It's what we call a primary appointment in that department. So it's a full appointment for being a full member of the department with the same contributions to the department as anybody else in the department. There are things at universities called secondary appointments or honorary appointments. That's not what this is. This is a primary appointment in the department. What is unusual about this position is that it is also an appointment in the Microbial Sciences Institute, which is located at West Campus, which is about 5 miles from New Haven. And so those of us in the MSI have our labs at the West Campus, and then our primary appointments in a home department. So the applications will be reviewed by a search committee that's a combined search committee of both members of the department as well as the institute. And the way the appointment is arranged is everything involving finances and teaching is through the department, but the physical space is at the MSI. And the promotion process is also primarily organized through the department, although as director, I'm involved in the promotion committees for MSI junior faculty as well. So that is the position that we're searching for. I'm also going to just say a few minutes about MSI, and I have some slides, although I'm having some trouble with slide sharing. So I'm just going to do this not in presenter view, and hopefully this will still be useful. So as I mentioned, the Microbial Sciences Institute is located at Yale's West Campus, which is about 5 miles from New Haven. You're looking at it here, a bird's eye view with New Haven back this way. The organization of the campus is into research institutes. These institutes are groups of labs that share a common interest, but belong to different departments. And so these institutes are listed here along the bottom. Currently, there are nearly 50 labs at the West Campus. There represent faculty in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, which includes MCDB, the School of Medicine, as well as the School of Engineering. And you can see the broad range of departments that are represented here. There's over 600 students, 60 postdocs, as well as 5 technical cores here at the West Campus. Yale has been growing the West Campus over the last 10 years, primarily through external hires. So 75% of the faculty are external hires, again, brought into one of these partnering departments, but with a lab at the West Campus in one of these research institutes. So for those of you who've been to New Haven, to give you a sense of the size of the campus, downtown New Haven is shown in this map, and an outline of West Campus superimposed on that is shown here in gray. So you can see the West Campus is almost the size of much of the rest of the university. The campus can be accessed by shuttles that run from both the southern and northern part of New Haven every 20 minutes, including and also run nights and weekends. The campus is served by an on-site childcare, as well as other resources, including a gym, a conference center, nature trails, a cafeteria, community garden, et cetera. So why the MSI? The idea to create a microbial science institute came from the realization that so much of our world is impacted by microbes. And this includes medical and infectious disease aspects, but also many aspects of the world we live in, including biotechnology development, impacts of microbes on agriculture and climate and the environment, et cetera. And the goal of the MSI is to really be a central hub where researchers interested in all of these different aspects of our microbial world have an opportunity to interact. So the first goal of MSI is to really serve as a central hub for microbiology, to be supportive of diverse approaches and expertise, and to bring in faculty that don't necessarily think the way we do or people already here do, but again, bring a different perspective, but are focused on a question in microbiology. We also work to create an environment that promotes success at all career stages and think a lot about how an appointment at MSI, whether you're a faculty member, a postdoc, or a student, is a benefit. This includes support for students to attend workshops and conferences, retreats that we've held specifically dedicated to trainees, and other resources. And then third, we look at ways where we can connect to other microbiologists, both at the West Campus and further across the university. So I'm not going to say much more about the MSI. I think measuring success is a complicated thing, but I would say that no matter how you measure it, the MSI faculty have been very successful in starting their labs here. I've grabbed a couple examples of mostly trainees and some of the recognition that they've received. Many of these trainees are actually in Stavrula's lab, so in an MCDB laboratory. And if we look at success other ways in terms of publications, in terms of trainees reaching their own career goals, and in terms of faculty moving through the promotion process, again, it's been a very successful place to be, and we're very eager to keep growing this institute in the coming year. So I think I'll stop there and turn things over to Scott to say a little bit about the MCDB department.
Okay, yeah, so as Andy mentioned, we are in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, meaning we're on the main campus at Yale. And so an appointment in MCDB comes with a 9-month salary and undergraduate teaching responsibilities. So we're the largest natural science major in Yale College. This is, for some of you, it's a fairly, Yale College only has 5,000 students. So and our major, we graduate about 100 students a year. So a normal teaching responsibility in the department is somewhere in between, say, half and one undergraduate course a year. Usually our courses are team taught, so no one is completely in charge of a single course, but we teach courses together. So like Stavroula, for example, teaches our microbiology course, which is one of the core courses in our undergraduate major. So currently we have 2 appointees that have primary appointments in MCDB, but have labs located at West Campuses, Stavroula, and then Farron Isaacs, who's in the Systems Biology Institute at West Campus. So the MCDB has been eager to have these searches with West Campus institutes. We have experience sort of cooperating with West Campus, and Farron is a bit more senior. He's now tenured. He's been here about 10 years, and Stavroula was our most recent West Campus hire. So within the department, we have 28 primary faculty. That's tenure track faculty within the department. We have a very healthy demographics. 12 of our faculty are actually pre-tenure, so we're much younger than we were when I started. So creates a very vibrant atmosphere. And I think one of the attractive things about one of these West Campus positions that if you're a microbiologist, you can be at the West Campus Institute and be surrounded by other microbiologists that may share some common interest. At the same time, you'll be in MCDB, which is a very broad department. So you're exposed to things well outside the realm of microbiology. So our department has people studying everything from plant circadian rhythms to neurobiology, to basic cell biology, to the structure and function of RNA. So we're very broad topically. And so you're getting a good mix of both the specialized expertise in microbiology in the Institute, but also the broader expertise that's within the department, and then also broadly at Yale in general. I should say, Andy had mentioned the promotion process primarily goes through the department. So it's the department that votes on promotions because the primary appointment is within MCDB. And this is, again, something that has been developed at Yale and is a pretty standard procedure now that West Campus has been around for about 12 years now. So I think this, hopefully we'll have no doubt we'll find some great applicants in this search, and then hopefully find people that are good fits for both the MSI Institute and the Department of MCDB. As I said, Andy mentioned our search committee is a combination of MSI faculty and MCDB faculty. This is kind of the normal way we do our searches with the West Campus Institutes, and ensures we have good buy-in from all involved, that we're all agreed and they're all excited about the faculty hires, and that both Andy and I will be supporting this junior hire with the objective of going to be promoted and be hopefully a rock star microbiologist at Yale, like Stavroula is becoming. So.
Great, thank you, Scott. One more point before we shift over to questions. I think one thing that's very important to both the Institute and the department is junior faculty mentorship. And so as a new assistant professor in this position, you would really have multiple levels of mentorship. So I work directly with all of the junior faculty at MSI to discuss everything from how do you hire the right people? How do you grant applications, papers, all of this. You will also have a mentoring committee that's through the department that maybe if that comes up in a question, Stavroula or Mike can talk more about. But the goal of this search is to find someone who we can really support to, we think do better than they'll do elsewhere. And we're really looking for someone whose work will benefit from having these two sets of colleagues like Scott mentioned, where we can, again, best support someone to be as bold and creative and inventive and successful as possible by having this very unique environment of both the broad MCDB environment in the department, as well as a diverse set of faculty thinking about microbiology from angles ranging from structural biology to genetics to chemistry and biophysics. So maybe with that, I will just pause there and ask if people have any questions or there's any areas where you'd like more information to just post them in the Q&A section. And then I can read them aloud and ask our participants, our panelists to give their thoughts. I think this webinar is not the best place for asking about specific research programs and whether specific research topics are suited to the search. That would be better done, I think, by email to me. Questions about the Institute, the department, starting a lab, life in Connecticut or New Haven, or really anything else you can think of, we're happy to do our best to answer. Yeah, so please put your questions in the Q&A. And they're already starting to come in. The first question is asks about core facilities available at MSI and main campus. In terms of MSI, how MSI goes, in MSI, there are many of the universities, I would say most kind of technologically forward-looking cores are at the West Campus. So this includes mass spectrometry and proteomics, imaging, high throughput sequencing, small molecule screening, and probably additional ones that I'm not thinking of right now. And so those are all West Campus core facilities that some of them are like the high throughput sequencing. You drop off your sample and the sequencing gets done for you. Although it has helped us to have the core here, because if you're trying something new, you can just walk over and ask, whether it'll work or have them do a trial run, et cetera, in a way that's facilitated by having the sequencing facility here on our campus. Other core facilities like the imaging core and the metabolomics core are operated. There's a full-time supervisor, but students and postdocs are the ones who actually run the machines. And so you reserve time on those machines. Training is either by the supervisor of the core or by other lab members, but then it's actually the students and postdocs who are in charge of optimizing their methods and collecting their own data. Now, Yale does have drop-off core facilities for mass spectrometry as well, elsewhere on campus. And then there's the cryo-ET Titan Krios microscope is also at the West Campus, and their involvement is again based on the expertise of the lab. So some labs are just dropping off samples and having the staff of that instrument do more. Other labs are doing more themselves. Mike or Scott, do you want to say something about main campus core facilities?
Yeah, so the main campus has locally in YSB, there's a microscopy facility. We also use the sort of a proteomics facility that sort of services all of campus. There are also core facilities at the medical school. So you can think of the big science hubs at Yale are the medical school, the Science Hill area of the main campus, and West Campus. And there are some facilities unique to each of those three, and then there are some core facilities that kind of serve all the campus. Elsewhere within our department, we have a fax facility. There's also a fax facility at the medical school, and there's also some cryo-EM in YSB, though it's not a core facility per se yet. In terms of the other question, which is about the seminars, again, we have our the departments on Science Hill have their own departmental seminars, which are typically once a week. The West Campus will have their seminars. For MCDB, we don't require our graduate students to attend the weekly outside speakers. However, we do have a series of graduate student symposia each semester that are typically held on the main campus that all graduate students are required to attend. Those are basically students presenting their own work to other students and faculty within the department.
Stavroula, do you want to say anything about the MSI seminars, the internal and external seminars that we have?
Yeah, sure. I'm organizing the one for the internal speakers this year, which has been pretty fun actually, because I do it in coordination with a postdoc. So that's been fun. But basically we have two seminar series, both called Scientists and Microbes at Lunch, so the small talk series. The internal portion is basically a research in progress seminar series for students and postdocs within MSI. And occasionally we also extend invitations to students and postdocs from other labs that are similarly conducting research aligned with the mission of MSI that may be of interest to the community. So those occur roughly once or twice a month, and then they generally alternate with external speakers who are just distinguished faculty from other departments across basically the country and also internationally, who come and give talks within the Institute on their science. So they're both really wonderful opportunities to connect with the community within the Institute and with scientists at large.
And I would add, we also have the microbiology graduate program, which is an umbrella program that spans all three campuses at the university, also has a seminar series, and that's co-organized by faculty, students, and postdocs in equal proportion. So that series of speakers, a third of those speakers are invited by faculty, a third are invited by postdocs, and a third are invited by students.
I think Mike would also maybe talk about the department retreat, which since he's involved in organizing that.
Great.
Yeah, so we just had our MCDB department retreat, which we've held historically at Woods Hole. It's an overnight retreat, and we just had it last weekend. So it's actually a nice opportunity. We bring the first year graduate students. Many of the first year graduate students attend, as do majority of the labs in MCDB. So it's a nice time for us to get away, present our work, socialize a little bit, and have a place where we can kind of be away from campus and enjoy talking to our colleagues. So, we're all sort of riding the high of that experience at this point. But yeah, it was, I'll be organizing that event next year again too.
Great. The next question is asking about a comparison between the two positions that were recently posted at MSI, which is a good question. So as you may be aware, there's actually two faculty positions that we are currently moving forward with at MSI. The first is this one, which is an assistant professor search in partnership with MCDB. The second is an open rank search in partnership with the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology. So the positions are similar in a way in that it's a primary appointment in one of those two departments, with lab space at MSI. But of course, the thematic interests of the two departments are different. And if you are not sure which department or which search you would be most appropriate for, you're welcome to reach out to me and we can talk about that. There also is overlap in the search committees. So we'll be keeping an eye on if there are applications we get that are coming in through one search but look like they might be appropriate for the other search, we can potentially move things around in that way as well. But they are completely separate positions, and the university commitment is for both of them separately. So it is not that if we hire someone for one position, we would not be hiring someone for the other. They're separate searches, separate commitments, and separate home departments. That said, I think there is a lot of potential for overlap in the two. So you're welcome to put in applications for both if you'd like. And again, we'll be keeping an eye on the applications that come in and evaluating whether an application should possibly be reviewed by the other search committee. If we wait to see if any other questions come in at this time, maybe I can just pick on the junior faculty a little more to say a little more about, again, where you are in your career stage, and something about process of moving to Connecticut and getting your lab started. Mike, do you want to go first as our newest yeah, person?
Maybe I can start, maybe because I'm the most recent. So I started my lab 2 years ago now, and I started it in the middle of the pandemic. And so moving during the middle of the pandemic and starting a lab was a pretty big, it was a daunting task at the time. And I think that one point that I want to sort of bring up that Scott mentioned is the mentoring committee, and also the size of the junior faculty in MCDB. I think that having a department that has so many junior faculty was a hugely valuable resource for me for figuring out what to do in starting a lab, and I think that was a big benefit. To add to what one of the things Andy said, I already use a lot of the facilities at West Campus, most recently the Yale Center for Genome Analysis, and so we did some of our sequencing over there. And so I think even if, regardless of where your lab is, I find myself going over there quite a bit as well. So there's a lot of crosstalk across the different departments as well.
Sure, I can add a little more about my specific experience. So I've been here about 6 years, and a little over 6 years. And yeah, I've had a super positive experience actually having my lab in MSI because of, I think, the added value of having 2 sets of mentors. That's been really helpful for me. So within MCDB, I have a dedicated mentoring committee of senior faculty who've been super helpful in terms of navigating grant applications and teaching and things like that. And I meet with them pretty regularly for lunch, just kind of casually to get informal guidance. And similarly within MSI, I have really great mentoring support from Andy, in particular, as the director of the Institute, as well as other senior faculty within the Institute. It's been a really nice community because it's a small unit relative to the department MCDB, which is a bigger unit. And it kind of facilitates nice interactions between lab members. We're all on the same floor. So my students collaborate quite a bit with students from other labs in terms of reagent exchange and technology exchange. And I think that's really allowed our research to thrive and move into directions that I wouldn't have anticipated had I been in a different, even location in the same building. I should also note that the West Campus in general is highly interdisciplinary by nature, by design. So one floor above us is the Cancer Biology Institute. And speaking from my research program, at least, we really focus quite a bit on cancer-causing microbes like Helicobacter pylori. So I share equipment with some folks in the Cancer Bio Institute. I talk to them a lot about grant ideas and how to frame things for papers. So that's a really wonderful resource as well. And our research also draws quite a bit on chemical biology. We use a lot of chemical tools in our science. And the next building over from us has the Institute for Biomolecular Discovery and Design, which is a hub for chemical biology on Yale's campus. And I interact with those folks a ton. Our lab participates in their research in progress series, and we interact with them socially quite a bit. So I think that's another really great asset to West Campus, is just these informal exchanges with scientists from basically all over campus whose labs are housed there. And I think that's allowed our research program to, again, take off in directions I hadn't anticipated. And the last thing I'll just emphasize that's already been mentioned, but I think is worth emphasizing once more, is that the presence of these really great core facilities is really, it's terrific. Like basically everything we need, at least for our science, is within a 5-minute walk of our lab. It's very rare that we need to even go elsewhere on campus or do outside, company hiring and things like that, of that nature, contract work to get the science done. So that's a really terrific asset of the West Campus as well.
Great. Thank you. One question that came up a bit in other discussions I've had outside of this webinar is people interested in more information about the search process and the review process. So for this search, the applications, we'll start reading them on November 15th. And again, they'll be reviewed by multiple members of the search committee that includes both faculty who are MSI faculty as well as MCDB faculty. We hope to or plan to have those reviews completed by the end of the year. And we'll soon post on the website a final date for a symposium that we'll have for candidates that are invited for interview. So again, that'll be on the MSI website as well as posted on Interfolio as soon as that's finalized, so that you can reserve those dates for a symposium. The symposium will include seminars, one-on-one meetings, as well as a more informal type of discussion that will be early in the new year. So we'll just stay on for a minute if people have any other questions about the position, the search, or working and starting a lab at Yale. We're happy to answer. And I'll add too, if you think of a question after we hang up here, just send me an email and I'm happy to either pass it along to other members of this panel or help you answer it directly. But if there's no further questions, I think we will wrap up here. Thank you again for attending. I encourage you to apply. And again, please reach out if you have questions about the search. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye everyone.